The first contact with the Galactic Federation had been peaceful, if somewhat condescending. The tall, serpentine beings from the planet Voss had arrived on Earth with gifts of technology and offers of trade. Among the most prized offerings were the ancient combat forms known as Voss-Ka, martial arts that had been perfected over millennia. Ambassador Keln, the lead Voss diplomat, had demonstrated the flowing, gravity-defying movements to a crowd of gathered humans. The demonstration was meant to showcase the physical superiority of the Voss species, their ability to manipulate their musculature and neural responses in ways humans supposedly never could. Your species lacks the cellular density and neural flexibility required for true mastery, Keln had explained, his forked tongue flicking with amusement. But perhaps you can learn the basic forms for exercise purposes. 3 Earth years later, the Second Galactic Games were held on the neutral station orbiting a distant star. Species from across the galaxy gathered to compete in various cultural and physical challenges. The martial arts tournament, featuring traditional combat forms from dozens of worlds, was the premier event. The Voss contingent arrived confident and dismissive. They had won the tournament for the past 17 cycles, their Voss-Ka forms considered unmatched in their precision and power. Other species, the rock-hard Grundi warriors, the 6-armed Tektari, the phase-shifting Nebulon, all fell before the Serpentine Masters year after year. Then the human team entered the arena. Commander Gray led the team, followed by 12 other human practitioners. They wore simple training uniforms, not the ornate ceremonial robes favored by other species. As they took their positions, the crowd noticed something unusual. Their movements had a strange quality, a perfect synthesis of power and flow that hadn't been seen before. The first round pitted humans against the Grundi. The rock beings were confident. Their naturally armored bodies had never been breached by any martial art. The human fighter, a woman named Ava, stepped forward. As the Grundi warrior charged, she didn't dodge in the traditional Voss-Ka style. Instead, she moved through the attack, redirecting the massive force with a twist of her hips and a precise application of leverage that sent the 400-pound warrior tumbling. The second technique she used was pure Voss-Ka, but executed with a speed and fluidity that made the watching Voss delegation exchange nervous glances. The third move was something entirely new, a hybrid form that combined the Voss-flowing strikes with what appeared to be ancient Earth martial arts. "Impossible," whispered Keln from the viewing booth. "They've created something new." The tournament continued. Human fighters faced the Tektari and their 6-armed fury, adapting Voss-Ka principles to defend against attacks from multiple angles. They fought the phase-shifting Nebulon and demonstrated an uncanny ability to predict movement patterns, countering attacks before they fully materialized. By the semifinals, it was clear that something unprecedented was happening. The humans weren't just using Voss-Ka. They had taken the fundamental principles and run them through their own evolutionary adaptations. Their neural pathways, while different from the Voss, had proven remarkably adaptable. Their muscular structure, lacking the serpentine flexibility, had developed alternate applications that created entirely new techniques. The final match pitted Commander Gray against Champion Velth, the undefeated Voss master who had held the title for 8 cycles. The arena fell silent as the two fighters faced each other. Velth began with the traditional Voss opening sequence, a beautiful display of coiling strikes and pressure point attacks. Gray responded with what appeared to be the same forms, but his execution was different. Where Velth flowed like water, Gray moved like water that had learned to cut stone. As the match progressed, the differences became more apparent. Gray incorporated explosive linear movements that the Voss had never considered. He used leverage and angular momentum in ways that seemed impossible for someone without a serpentine spine. Most shocking of all, he began combining Voss-Ka with other human martial traditions, boxing, wrestling, and fighting styles from every continent on Earth. The crowd watched in amazement as Gray demonstrated what humans had been doing for the past 3 years. They hadn't just learned Voss-Ka, they had absorbed it, understood its principles, and then innovated. They had taken the superior alien art and made it their own, creating something entirely new in the process. The match ended with a move that would be studied for generations. Gray used a classic Voska hold, but applied it while executing, a technique from ancient Japanese jiu-jitsu, creating a combination that even Velth couldn't counter. The Voss champion tapped out, acknowledging defeat for the first time in his career. In the aftermath, as humans celebrated their sweep of the tournament, Ambassador Keln approached Commander Gray. The tall, serpentine being's expression was complex, surprise, concern, and perhaps a hint of pride. "How?" was all Keln could ask. Gray smiled. "You taught us the principles. We just did what humans do best. We adapted. We took your beautiful art and ran it through thousands of years of our own martial traditions. We didn't just copy Voska. We evolved it." "But I said your species lacked the capability," Keln protested. "You were right in a way," Gray acknowledged. "We can't move exactly like you do. But we found our own way to achieve the same results and then some. That's what humans do. We take what exists and make it better, differently, uniquely ours." As the news spread across the galaxy, species that had long considered themselves the pinnacle of martial achievement began to reassess. The humans had done something unprecedented. They had taken an art form from a physically superior species and evolved it beyond its original conception. The Galactic Federation's next cultural exchange program saw unprecedented enrollment from human instructors. Species across the galaxy wanted to learn this new evolution of martial arts, not just the techniques, but the approach. The human way of taking existing knowledge and transforming it into something revolutionary. Years later, historians would mark this tournament as the moment when the galaxy truly understood what made humanity unique. Not their strength, not their speed, but their incredible ability to adapt, absorb, and innovate. They had taken alien martial arts and made them fundamentally human, and in doing so, had created something that transcended both species. The legacy of this tournament spread far beyond martial arts. It became a symbol of human potential and a reminder that true innovation comes not from superiority, but from the willingness to take what exists and transform it into something entirely new.